Hey y'all, Denisha here from Water to Spirit. I am the CEO and I am also the founder. And remember, healing is revolutionary. And if no one told you today, you are special, you are strong, and you did nothing wrong. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the first time I publicly shared my story of being sexually assaulted and being trafficked by my oldest brother. But the focus, and I will also post a video regarding the my mini speech in this video, if that makes sense. Okay. Good morning. The focus will be though the substance of how empowering telling your story really, really is. So when you have gone through something, no matter how big or small, no one walking this earth can compare their trauma to yours or their childhood to yours. And I think we need to be very careful about doing that. Recently, someone said to me they were only molested. They weren't sexually assaulted or trafficked like I was. And it makes them realize that it wasn't that bad. That's not true. Your trauma affected you. What happened to you affected you. When we compare as survivors, as victims of that have been victimized, we compound the trauma and no one really heals. This is not a competition, right? So I want to start by saying that. I was invited to do a speaking engagement at a restaurant called Big Mama's Kitchen that was hosted by Black Men United. And it was about, I wanted to particularly speak about, of course, that trauma, but how we need to heal as a community and as a people. I am not just marginalizing individuals when I say as a community, as a people. I'm not speaking about Black people. I'm not just speaking about Latinos, Chicanos, Hispanics, or Natives. As a people, we are all people, right? That is the collective. We need to heal this disease of fragmenting our children, of fracturing our children, and vulnerable people with the so-called invisible touch. And all right, so I just remember my heart was beating really, really fast, and it was more like I told people in the past about what I've been through, and some people even took advantage of me knowing that I had holes in my self-esteem because of what happened to me. That's another story. But I told my story to teachers. I told my story to administrators. I told my stories to community members. And there wasn't an adult that didn't know what little Denisha was going through. They just didn't care enough to help me or respond. No one came. So here is the short clip of a little bit about my childhood. I'll post it right here at 3:54.
Okay, we all can understand that this is not an easy topic. I'm nervous, but my best friend goes, why be nervous? You'll be okay. So, if I cry, let me cry. If I roll my eyes, let me roll my eyes. I think it's fair to say that. We all either have a daughter, a mother, we all have a daughter, a mother, an aunt, a niece, and I want everyone to picture them while you're listening to my story and talking to me. I would like everyone to close their eyes.
Yep, there you go.
Right here?
Yeah, that way you don't wave at it.
Is that better? Okay, I would like like everyone to close their eyes, and I'm gonna start telling a little bit of my story. I was 5 years old, and I was playing in my room, and I want you guys to picture this. Picture your niece, picture your mother, even picture your son. And my brother calls me into the room, his room, and there's a teenage boy there. And they told me to take off my clothes. Okay, so keep picturing. They made me give him oral sex. Let me cry. I'm all right. And he was about 17. I was 5. And he raped me while my brother stood there and watched. Okay? I was bleeding. Unfortunately, I was used to doing this. Because if it wasn't him, it was my brother. And if it wasn't my brother, it was my brother letting neighborhood boys do this to my sister, me, and my second oldest brother. So after I was being raped, my brother told me to put my clothes back on. He said, don't say anything. I was bleeding in between my legs. I go downstairs and I tell my mom, I'm like, Mom, the music was so loud. And she eventually sees and hears me. She comes over, she's like, what? And I said, my private parts hurt. And she goes, verbatim, motherfucker, you know better than to come downstairs bothering me when I have company, put a cold or a warm rag in between your legs, and stay from down here. So I did that. And I threw my underwear away because I didn't want to get in trouble. And as I was coming out of the bathroom, it was my sister's turn. And when my sister came back in, she also said her private parts hurt, and I told her what my mom told me to do. She lays in the bed with me, and we go to sleep. I want you to picture your mother, your daughters, your aunties, your nieces at 5 years old. Now I want you to open your eyes and look at me. My name is Denisha Seals. I'm 26 years old, and I have the face of rape. But I am here. And with God, I will be okay. So that was my childhood. That was. I don't think a child should go through any of that. But I did.
Breathe. Breathe. I want to thank you for sticking around. As you heard, my story, I told it back, I believe, in 2018. I believe, I remember, because those locks that I have in there were my first set of locks. They were real long and skinny, but ended up combing those out. Like I recently just did another set of locks. Looking back, because it's okay to look back, I'm very proud of you, Denisha, for standing in a room filled with strangers and standing in the truth and activating your throat chakra and being responsible for your healing while encouraging others to heal. And I want each and every one of you to know that you too have the opportunity to share your story. Do so without apology. Speak the truth. But I also want to state that I had therapy as well before publicly speaking about my childhood. I did have therapy. So if you want to tell your story, definitely go to therapy and adapt to learning coping skills if you don't have those already, so that you can be grounded as you tell your story. There was one individual who saw my speech and she messaged me, and this was years ago, and she was like, I want to help you tell your story without emotion and less detail. And I told her that it was very presumptuous of her to reach out to me and tell me that she wants to do something for me because she thinks that I should tell my story a specific way. No, I'm always going to give details. I'm always going to be very detailed. I'm always going to whatever emotion that comes with it will come with it. And I thought it was really disgusting that she took it upon herself to do that. Again, she was corrected, rejected, and hopefully moving forward, she has learned better than to say anything like that to anyone else. And she should focus on how she tells her story. I want, again, to make sure that it's understood that no matter how someone tells their story, recognize it for the substance of what's being said. I was a child. I was 5. No 5-year-old should understand that their mouth is being used and that their womb and anus is being used for what their natural functions are supposed to be. Speaking and using the bathroom, okay? I recently also told my story on TikTok, and I've been shadow banned. I'll put that quick clip here at 7:55. True story. When I was 5 years old, my brother stood there and let me be raped by a neighborhood boy, and he watched as my hymen was ripped and there was blood everywhere. I limped downstairs to tell my mom that my private parts hurt because that is the only language as a child that I knew. And she said verbatim, "Motherfucker, go upstairs and put a cold or warm rag in between your legs. You know better than to come downstairs when I have company." So for everyone to sit there and say that my mom didn't recognize the signs, you guys just stop. Parents recognize the signs, but they recognize the signs. Like, stop. So as you can see, it was a little bit more detailed. I spoke specifically about within my healing, you remember smells and taste and shadow pains, pains that have happened that have no longer you no longer feel, but the shadow pain you still feel, right? We could talk about that in another video, but there were a lot of comments, a lot of people in support of me, but of course, because I did not say grape or graped, and I said exactly what it is, I was shadow banned from TikTok. Just blows my mind that the censorship is centered around protecting predators and predatory ideologies instead of substance and healing. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good day. Remember to breathe, and remember you're special, strong, and you did nothing wrong.